we have CCTV cache, gym and bedroom. Those are the top floor sites. And then bar and stage, which is a site I've advocated for myself for a very long time and eventually did get boosted and buffed a little bit. It's totally my for me. No one else had anything to do with that.
You just, I mean, you were the Oracle.
I was. And now it gets played. Maybe I should become a fortune teller.
I mean, I would appreciate if you didn't, because then I would, you know, what would I do?
Yeah, that's true. Well, you know, to start it around, this is going to happen. These guys win. Easy. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's it done.
Like, I'm like, well, cool. I could tell you how this is going to go down with my casting partner, who is a fortune teller.
It's
and
not really letting us.
Truth has just sort of said the result. But this result is still up in the air, and that's good for me because I get to shout about two great teams going up against each other on Club, a map that two great teams get a great stretch. They both know how to play Club well. They both have had generally successes on this map. Obviously, Pobody's Nerfect, and they probably, you know, have had
too much brain capacity.
But here is their time to take it with NAVI opening up on the defense once again.
And they're opening up. Let's see how they will fare here on Church Arsenal. And to those of you who are new to Siege and you are only just tuning in for the very first time of any competitive match in Rainbow Six, as per usual, first of all, welcome. We'd like to have you and hope you are enjoying your stay. And second of all, Clubhouse is one of those maps that a lot of players will play. As soon as you hop into ranked and it shows up in the map ban phase, you can almost guarantee that it will be chosen. And it's for some very simple reasons. The map's been around for a long time. It has been reworked just slightly over the years, but in the base of it, it still plays relatively similar. We're going towards that bottom floor first, towards that basement, and there is some key things to do, which is to open up the hatches onto that first floor and to find a way into the side to go for a plant, which is often a kitchen drop, and sometimes it involves a triple wall from the backside. However, what makes it difficult is the roamers that are currently out there. NAVI has some people who are not on that basement. They're walking around and about, and if you try and open up the hatch straight away, people like Nave, people like Blur, they will come and strike through and make sure that you have no opportunity of opening up these hatches. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. They need to clear it from the top to the down first, otherwise they just need to rush the side. That's the only other way really around it.
False has got himself set up here, and he's just clearing out anybody that might be onto that garage side. The Spray and Nath is still playing loose and aggressive on the top. There's another drone, but caught reloading. Not going to be able to get the drop on that. Was curious about the window hopping first. And with that drone just behind him, they're going to have that read. You can see the fire. It was coming from the player on the top. There's also been a drop on logistics too. Oh, he is in such a tight spot, but still wasting as much time as possible and still trying to find little pockets to move. There's a C4 ripped and thrown over. It's a change of explosives, but neither truly gets the full catch on the other player. Another drone. Nath is absolutely taking all the focus of the world right now. He is entirely stuck here, and his life is at this point potentially going to be forfeit. Another reveal, another drone, another potential swing round, you assume, maybe. There it is, the burst of the Zephyr, the burst of utility, the spray, and not quite able to get the full connection. Changes to the shotgun, and still an extra 30 seconds from the first reveal, and finally SSG have that kill, but you have to give credit to Nath for sticking it out on the top floor.
It must have been such a stressful 90 seconds for him there. There's just nothing he can do. He's getting stunned, he's getting flashbanged, he's being shot from the back, well, shot from the front as well at the very same time. But it's the roamer that has been cleared out, and that allows SSG now to start opening up towards the side. That means that hatches need to be opened up, and that's exactly what Skies does with one of his exothermic charges, as he's rotating around and actually will use one on top of the blue hatch as well. So the kitchen one will stay closed for now. They will need to find a different way to deal with it, but instead of opening it up, it seems like there will be a triple take. An EMP comes through and Selmas will be tossed in as well. Blur needs to go for a bit of a trick, but he realizes it's already way too late, as he arrives just at the wrong time. Hot and Cold spots ahead, but secretly finds it first. He finds the return frag and at least keeps them even here, as Bosco will find one more. 35 seconds. The hatches are opened up. The wall is opened up. What kind of plan is SSG going for here?
That's it, 30 seconds. They're going to have to do a bit of a sharp execute here. They've got themselves a bit of a space and a bit of a stretch. Faults with the drop down onto blue in an important fight, and a pre-fire doesn't go his way. Doki has that locked down on utility box. Now with the hot pings, here's the cover towards the plant. It's attempted and stopped on the door. One last player. He's able to get one more, a reload, and a little bit of a shaky one of that. Doki's out of bullets, and he's out of there. He just pulls himself back, and he's able to find an escape with secretly on the cover. NAVI, hold in.
They locked the door, truly. We're able to win the gunfights that mattered in the end there. First of all, the return frag on the verticality, where it became a 4v4. After that, the blue won crucial. The kill in Boiler really helped NAVI to carry it across there. And that puts them in the lead here and will push them up to bar stage as well. My favorite site, not because it's good, probably because it's very bad still. We don't see many victories coming out of it yet. Quite a low rate, but it's probably due to the fact that CCTV is just so well known by everybody, and NAVI, they might be looking to throw a curveball here.
Bar stage, and well, NAVI were a team that, I mean, when they first rolled out their hold, it was then lifted by EUL teams the next playday, the next week, and I can't remember what team copied it. I don't want to say it loud, but it showed that they had a good idea. They had a bit of a play, a bit of a stretch there, and you started to see it get replicated inside EUL at least. So you assume SSG will have had a bit of a thread about this, will have had a bit of an idea of the play that NAVI wanted to do.
Now as the other room gets very loud yet once more. The room map number 3. And we'll only try and figure out whether or not we'll have a guaranteed APAC team in round 3 of the upper bracket, or if it is going to be the Sonics that take on them on Kia, who are, it's so weird to say still, an APAC team as favorites for the entire tournament. That is currently what we're at. Stokey is looking to find some aggressive pre-fires out to the outside world. It's not allowed. He's not given anything. He's in the actual moment currently being pressured, I believe, from a little bit of garage presence from SSG. Falls back as well.
There will be, obviously, a bit of a fight for attrition over onto that stage side. Rampy's going to make his way, I'm not sure entirely what he's cautious of at this point, but you assume he's heading to the top. He's just going very slow, maybe from a dirt peak that might have come out, but you've got to be a bit cautious sometimes. It's not really what they're leaning into, at least for now. Skies is breaching himself across the far side. They're getting control of Strip and getting that big wall open by Billiards to try and get a connection there, potentially. But it's also an option, and an option is a very important thing to have open on a site like this, where suddenly on Club you might have to very often pick up sticks and go from the exact opposite side. It's kind of 2D in some respects, where a lot of the pushes are on the opposite side. It's not sort of a second way into the same route. It is just a big, long rectangle to a lot of these pushes, and that approach is a take. Doki, he finds faults. He removes that Zephyr, removes those sort of plays and stuns from range.
It's going to be the very first kill in the hands of NAVI as well. 90 seconds, and we're playing on bar stage. A good spot coming through. They know one is inside logistics underneath the hatch now. Blur might have actually realized as well that he was being spotted out, and as there is going to be a big rotate from Houghton as well, it seems like they might be going for a stage approach with the current remaining members of SSG and their locations. It is yet to be remained to see, though. Skies will open up the wall right behind it. That will at least be another step into the right direction. An opening, as you may, onto the site itself. Secretly, we'll see this happen now. The hatch is currently not under control of the NAVI players, and that is crucial as well for this hold, or at least the attack. You cannot afford someone to be on that hatch and stop you as you try and go for a plant. So, as a lot of the utilities currently being taken out, Hot and Cold moves his drone just a little bit more to try and figure out where these players are. Rampy in the middle of the kitchen here is going to find an entry kill as well. Doki gets picked up, and now he's afraid of the player that was seen before inside the Logi. This guy wants to go for a planet very soon. They need to make sure that the top floor is fully under control.
That's it. It's a long stretch all the way, and there's obviously still a C4 and some impact in pocket. Secretly, he's under a bout of pressure, but he's got that little collection of salvation station, and that field doctor is in. Saves, takes Hot and Cold out. And secretly, he's trying to respond to the positioning, but Kitchen is still live and active. They have the call on the player in that point, and well, you've just used those pickups, 15 seconds and a swing round onto lounge door. The far cover of those flashes and a big fight on the back stairs is a 3 versus 1. Bosco does not have the kit in his pocket. He only has a handful of seconds, and bar's closed. NAVI, second in a row.
like that one. The bar was indeed closed, not really letting any of the Space Station members in, and where they managed to pick up some kills here and there around the kitchen, they weren't quite able to punch through after that. And 0-2 is the current score. NAVI again starting off strong like they have done before. Think of the first map, Chalet that was, where they managed to get 3 in a row before it was SSG that fought back. They're now getting there. It's 2-0. And if they manage to find just a couple more, then suddenly they find themselves in a very good position yet once again for the remainder of this map.
Gym bedroom, and we'll see if, as you said, we can get that rotation from them. It's obviously sort of steadily making its way up to the top. CC, you'll see less and less as time goes on in a lot of these engagements. If we talked about it on Bank, where in this sort of attacker preferenced meta, a lot of those early holds, a lot of the ones that you spent the most time theory crafting on how to break because they were the standard first picks, they have now found themselves swapped into that weird position of, well, people have run it so much, they've spent a year cracking those codes. Give them new codes, try a new sort of setup, and that's why you've sort of seen it fall out of favor.
For sure. It is just 2 easy steps. You get the wall open, you get the garage under control, and suddenly there's a free way to plant. And the only thing that will really stop you are throwables and time, of course, in that matter. So, 0-2 and SSG, they are still yet to find a round. Gotten quite close here and there, at least at the start of things, because they managed to get an opening on the very first round. However, they haven't quite been able to punch through yet like they were at those final 5 rounds we saw on Bank, where they basically were in a match point disadvantage even, and they just decided to win everything from there on. Maybe they just need to be poked a little bit by NAVI. NAVI needs to reach that 6 point first before they become that immortal SSG with Rampy just acing it up.
Well, here it is across the top. They're just going to roll the thatch, and with him on the board, these walls aren't going to be the toughest thing to break through, but it's the step 2, that arm's length hold, that might prove the problem. The wall kicks its electricity back in, but obviously with it not being there and not having a corporeal form, that's not the biggest worry in the world. Doki, he's still sort of playing around red. He's looking to see if he can try and find a way out, but there's a drone. Well, there's 2 drones, and there's one right there. You go. And now he's revealed. But he's still over in this position. There's a 3rd drone that he's just seen there, and that's going to get out of there, and so is he, actually, because he's realized with 3 active drones on him how much attention is being paid. Fultz wants to creep up red, and, well, he wants to slip out of there before he's dead.
Doki's still playing around here in the construction area, is receiving a little bit of pressure here and there, but nothing too big for now. The wall opening is going to be there, but no pressure really, as no one is out there to push through it. There's actually CCTV cache that got completely, well, forgotten about by the side of NAVI, and Fultz and Bosco will gladly take control as secretly. Still Bullet is looking for a potential flank later on. Doki hiding in a big corner right here. It's the default corner to hide in if you want to hide in this side, but it often does get misdroned or not droned at all, and if that's the case due to a player standing up and being inside of it, might draw away the attention and allow Doki to get a free kill on someone that drops.
They have themselves stacked up. With a minute left, they're still going to see if they can try and piece together some information. They've done a lot of clear of the space around, and sometimes we've seen SSG be in a good position to just capitalize upon this. Blur drops the Prisma. Not the Prisma even.
Oh, he got droned out.
There he is, droned out in the corner. There's a grenade that bounces its way around. Doki's able to slip away. Another drone, and more of this pressure that comes through. And now with Fultz down and out, it's secretly from underneath. The secondary kickback shotgun, the super shorty locks in. There's Rampy driving himself through to get 2. Instant response and revenge. There's one more for Rampy, going huge on the gym side. Hot and cold suddenly has it on the split. They're going to see if they can stick it, and Nath is all that's left. Sees one, goes for the swing, finds the planter as well. 15 seconds. They know exactly where he is. The impact connects, but Rampy is that buffer back and pulls SSG through that round.
This is what we call the Rampy insurance to come through in the end there, even though it might seem like they might not be able to win it in the end. I mean, he aced it in round 13. This time around, he just walks around the corner and finds every kill before he takes a single point of damage. SSG find a round and are looking to push further. It's just 1-2 now. It's just round 3 to happen, and you're seeing it here again. It's a double kill, turned into a triple in the end there, and well, he's also one to swing the corner and find that very final one. really keeping SSG into these rounds, into these games even at this time. And now, Church Arsenal coming up yet once more. It's the tertiary side that was lost by the side of NAVI, so no big deal yet. As long as they win Church, and as long as they win one more round afterwards as well. That is when they will be feeling comfortable. Otherwise, we're going to have every single half end up in a 3-3. Every first half end up in a 3-3.
And it was a Gemini replicator. I called the wrong invisible woman.
You said Prisma?
I said Prisma. I mean, it was always going to happen at some point. When you have two versions.
It happened before as well.
Wow.
But it's fine. I mean, I also call them Prismas every now and then.
I say a lot of words.
We are permitted a mistake every now and then.
Just one. And then we're fired.
Please.
2-1. NAVI, they've lost their tertiary site. That's not the most out there thing. It's down to SSG to see if they can apply the pressure here down onto Church. And if we throw our minds back, so much time was wasted on the top floor by Nath just valiantly refusing to die. And I'm curious to see if SSG try and have an alternate take for that. It seems like there's obviously still a little bit of a pressure and presence above, but otherwise not enough that's really slowing NAVI here. They've actually already found themselves trying to apply some flat pressure here with Blur being that only buffer. So much drone work is coming through.
So another drone work coming through, and Blur now sees the drone and tries to fall back, but also here's his pest that has just caught another one. Or at least the first for this round. And that means a drone is in his pockets now. A drone is what they can use to try and get some information. And if you then see that there's currently 2 C4s on the board as well for the side of NAVI, you might actually be able to land a kill or two with it. Especially when Rampy, you know, he's using this far angle to use the verticality, not with a sledgehammer. So you're really not going to be able to count it out with a nitro cell. That one, however, what did he place it at? I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, so he placed it, but then he stopped placing it. And now an EMP is coming out. A second one will be deployed, but that will be too late. He's indeed not going to go for it. Nath is going to give them that hatch. It is what it is. And one extra thermic left in the pockets of SSG.
That's going to be dropped on this hatch as well. It pops around the same time, and they're able to get Moto open a lot quicker than they were before. They're still ignoring kitchen hatch. They didn't go too much into it before, but obviously they have the Selmas, and last time they threw those down from that little double door onto basement towards pipes or past it onto that church wall here. They're doing the same thing. Same approach, and whether a claw hits the mark or not, it sounds like it hasn't, and everything is slowly being popped around. You can hear...
Something worked.
Yeah, the walls...
One of them stayed close. I think it might have been an impact or anything that went through the first one. I'm not quite sure. Either way, they I believe they tossed 3 of them. Only 2 of them detonated fully in the end, and that gives them some openings, but also a bit of safe space for the last members of NAVI to play behind. The drone gets a lot of good information here. Bosco knows these positions, but he's not quite committing yet. He's not quite pulling the trigger as of yet. And Sage does it instead. He just swings around from the hole that was made by himself, and as a long angle is being attempted here by Fultz. He's not given anything right here. Another swing. As he gets the first, he knows the one is inside dirt, but he's not quite able to connect those shots at the end. 30 seconds, and they need to push on SSG's side.
They have that single player so droned out and isolated and surrounded, and Skies actually goes down in amongst it. Hot and cold as well. Saves, picks up 2 more, and he's the only one inside that church. But everybody's praying to him. Nath has the back line and a huge dig in there of an entirely isolated Saves.
Managing to get 4 kills from there on, and it all started with the perfect timing for the swing. As soon as the crosshair went from the angle created by Bosco up towards the hallway to see if someone was holding a tight angle, that's exactly when Say swung around the corner with the SMG, took the head clean off, and that starts it off. Suddenly the main stairs pressure is gone. You know, there'll still be people dropping down into blue or inside of motorcycle, but that's fine. That's 1 angle less to worry about. 2 more to go. And as the pressure was going down from blue, it was someone else that was holding it off at that given moment in time. It is NAVI that put themselves up into 3-1. And again, they're going to bar. They're not trying to go to gym, or they're not trying to go to CCTV. And let's see if they can pull it off again, if they're going to be able to find success yet once more.
As I said, it's a sight and a hold they like to do, and even with the pressure that was coming through onto Kitchen, with Secretly still being able to do what he was behind the bar, it made things really awkward for SSG. They opened up a lot, but couldn't quite find the right route through onto the site. Here, they're potentially going to go I would say still start with the same take onto the billiards side and try and lock that in, but it requires, for me, a little bit more verticality. It requires a little bit more of the control of the players above, and we know that they can do that. We've seen how good their drone game is and how intense it can be on their approaches here, and if they can just try and find a way to shake that top floor hold, suddenly this site becomes a lot more possible.
Becomes a lot more possible indeed, and it comes down to a couple of these choke points, really. And Navi held them well the last time around. Yes, they lost an entry in kitchen, but that's fine in that case. I actually like how they leave one of those walls open. Of course, there is no reinforcements left. It might have been a mistake. I'm not quite sure, but they can challenge it with the mirror window whilst denying a long angle down the hallway at the very same time as well. So, interesting to see whether or not it will be used, as Doki gets an entry yet once more against Hot and Cold.
Yeah, I believe that was just a swing from CC window and just able to take care of it. It was. They had themselves prepped in a position slightly off site, and there he is, showing those little hints of the player that opened this up in a huge way. There's the breach on the heart, so they can have that wider swing angle and the ability to not get entirely caught off by any of the players inside. And now you look at the cost there. That Thatcher's gone. Kaid is in a much better position. Saves doesn't have to try and juggle those from range as he was before, and he's still got one in pocket.
Thinking about it now is like, did I use it up there? Am I going to use it elsewhere here? As Foles is looking to push through the launch, is going to take the top floor under control now. They know that construction is a crucial place to have if you want to go for a plant near the stage area. But Blur is still inside logistics. Still has the opportunity to just swing around and use that mirror window as well. So Foles is not really in a safe spot right here. He's just going to hold tight. He's not going to try and make a push happen as of yet. As long as Blur is just dancing around right here and there's no drones coming in from SSG, they won't have a clue that's currently not occupied.
I think that's the thing about Blur right now, is this is being held by one. They've got grenades coming in underneath. That one goes a little bit too far. It can't quite get the full connection. There's also the opening on Jacuzzi, so he's concerned about the rotate on the main stairs. There's also logistics hacks, which is open. Really, there is no safe space for Blur. And, well, as that is going to get that pop, Miro has to fall back, or you have to fall back from the mirror window at this point. Miro themselves is behind the bar. Blur has just found himself on that mattress. He's using it for that bit of protection from the pops on the window, but a minute in and...
Spotted.
That's it. Faults. He's going for the swing round. Rampy has the lockdown, and suddenly there is this singular player above. As I said, the verticality is going to be a huge part of this.
Yeah, for sure, but Nave, he's trying to stay put here. He's right behind the gym, right behind that reinforced wall. Bosco is right next to him, but he doesn't even know there's one on the window. As he swings him, that drops the diffuser. That's going to be costing some time, and Nave is going to be able to escape as well, as Rampy and Bosco tried to shut him down from the hatch above. And now they need to recover it. It's not going to be far out, so not a lot of time lost. However, the big issue now is that Nave is inside the strip club. So even if you take full control now and you try and plant from the billiard side, there's always going to be that one player that can come up at the end from the back.
Baited the Gemini replicator to see if they can rotate round, and Doki did not fall for it, but I think he'd shoot anything that moves at the minute. Anyway, the swing onto stage. They've dropped themselves in. They can't quite get the diffuser down because Bosco's being absolutely caught off by that player on the corner. It's the triple kill, it's the pistol, and it's a quad for Doki, who locks it out and puts them onto 4-1. One more here on their defense. Assuming they go back to gym, can they fix the mistakes, or will we see a fresh CCTV?
That's it. Are we going to see a new site, or are we headed towards the gym? It seems like it will be the gym for now. And by the way, that was the second time in a row that NAVI were able to win the round on the back of a quad kill there. So, well played by them, or by the individual players. It's not just them, of course, but they were really enabled by the setup and the pressure that was being held elsewhere. 1-4, NAVI are in a good position here. After they won that first map, they had the opportunity to win the second after it was a 6-3 lead for them. It was turned around, however, by the side of Spacestation, and they were able to run away with it. Pushes to first of all, overtime. They won it then, and after that, we find ourselves here at Clubhouse, where it all needs to be decided. And for now, NAVI, good half already, 4 rounds in their pockets. It's definitely something they will be happy with. But they're looking for that 5th. They are looking for that extra bit of security there, that extra mistake that you can afford at the long run there. Because, you know, we always talk about when you're 6-3, for example, oh, you cannot afford a single mistake right now. It also goes the other way. If you're 5-1 up, that means you can make 4 mistakes to some extent.
You have options.
Goes both ways.
But they made 5 mistakes before and then lost them bank here. They want to see if they can try and solidify even more momentum before they have to head against an SSG defense. SSG, I mean, they were able to capitalize on this before, and it was very well put together. It's the change of a little bit more of a stretch onto strip by the looks of it. We just had a Gon 6 pop somewhere, I believe. Was it? Or am I just
I heard something.
Imagining sounds?
I'm not quite sure. What else do we have? I don't know. It could have been a Gon 6 pop. It could have been on a window that's out there, because that is opened up. So it's a castle barricade that they removed quickly.
That would be it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you just hear audio and you're like, what was that?
Where did this pop?
Where did
Sounds
this pop?
like this.
Chances
Where is
are
it?
that window, based on audio, was some part of the hold. And it does, you know, it's a quick lean in. You know, you're going to try and apply pressure from that, and you can do it from very far away. As we're seeing here, Rampy is paying as much attention to it as possible. Boss goes with the width. They have, obviously, the Thatcher, so they shouldn't struggle getting through this as soon as Houghton can make his way over there. Doki, well, I'll get to him in a second, because secretly he's been able to take care of Bosco elsewhere. They lose their Selmas. Now they only have those hard breaches. They only have those exit hermits, so they've got to make sure that they matter and mark. Skies suffers a little bit with Saves playing this with a claw as well. They have themselves the chance to try and trick this. There's going to be a roll over the top of those EMPs. We just heard them pop off, and whether they dedicate everything, there's a reveal of Doki on the far side of CC.
Yeah, and they're aware of it, and there was someone out on the balcony as well. Foles is debating going up here, and as he makes the noise, Doki is like, okay, that is exactly what I wanted. You've just, you know, walked right into my trap card, but Foles actually decided to not do that, went off right again, and is going for a rotate now, and is looking to go for an entry here. It's hot and cold in already. He's trying to find a feed of Saves, and as he takes quite a lot of damage, we'll find eventually their Electro Claw. But no kill, yeah, on the side of SSG, and that is what's going to be hurting them in about 60 seconds from now, because there is still that man advantage from NAVI. The only real access they have currently is that Jacuzzi wall, and now into Jim as well. They've opened up that castle barricade.
They can see the rotation, but there's a player underneath it secretly. Once again, he might be able to cause some problems. In the meantime, Saves is doing more than enough on the site. Dropped in an exchange with Rampy, getting a spray onto Doki on CC, so it's a 3 versus 3. But with 45 seconds and a player still underneath, it's going to be a burn of the utility inside. That grenade is trying to go long, get rid of the camera, make sure they don't have the cover, and that loose player in logistics secretly is waiting so patiently for this to come through. We've seen him punish the verticality before 30 seconds, and the closer this gets to 0 as he's revealed on a drone, the more dangerous this might be. He can rotate out, but he doesn't actually have to. At this point, they have an idea he's underneath there. Instead, they're going to put the pressure onto the site. Rampy finds Saves. Blur as a backline being attemptedly blinded every single second. They don't need to go for the swing so directly. Nath goes for one of his own, finds 2! Can't get the third. Skies is all that's left with 10 seconds, and a player's on 2 different stories. The first is a shotgun. He is playing this so cautiously, and it's a 5-1 half for NAVI.
There we have it, a very good half coming in from NAVI. 5-1, 2 more rounds is all they need in the next 6 to find themselves in the next round of the upper bracket. And that is what they'll be aiming for. That is what they want to achieve after they were picked by SSG to be their opponents. And Nave there with a great double kill with that Alda. Of course, it is the LMG on that back line. It is always going to be difficult when you peek it 1 by 1 because it won't have to reload for quite a while. And NAVI made good use of it there. Now headed over to the attack. It is Church. That will be the very first site, just like they had themselves. And as the Buck will be making an entrance here on Saves' hands, it will be used, of course, to go for these vertical openings from a distance to put yourself into safety from potential C4s to be tossed up. Only 1, however, in pocket for Spacestation Gaming, and 3 smoke canisters. That's the utility they have available to stop plants. And I only assume that these impacts will be used to try and keep hatches closed for a little longer. Of course, with the Hibana removed from the board, should be quite successful as well.
Now V, only 2 separates you from continuing on through here, and SSG, they're going to see if they can try and start to pull this back. They are a good defensive team on this side, on this map even, and out of the 3 maps that we've seen, this is one that does play well into the defensive halves of both these teams. It's why we've not seen as many food for thought moments, and to be fair, with 2 rounds coming off the back of 4Ks on NAVI, it's not like things were massively out of reach for SSG. It hasn't been those sort of starting halves they've suffered before. The approach comes here. The pressure is on NAVI to see if they can try and have the collection of their earlier attacks across this series. The way that they were able to find these loose players and punish them was pretty consistent. And we know that Club can be a map where that can still happen. There is a tall stretch for a lot of these teams.
I think they might have just spotted out a player rotating up to the top there. Stokey that already dropped inside of the logistics area. He's going to be hunting down those roamers. Bosco that has been spotted. It seems like he might be aware as well because he's looking through the rotation that has been made. Doki's a bit further back. They probably have an idea that someone is right behind the mattress as well, and as Blur is trying to put up some of that pressure, we might be seeing a bit of a double team coming through right here. Rampy takes a lot of damage. He's forced back. Is the first kill to come through. Blur finds him. Bosco needs to fall back. It is a man advantage for NAVI on that very first attacking round straight away.
That's it. They're able to isolate that player. As I said, it's a game that they do really well, and SSG sometimes only started to come into their defenses when they offered them less and sort of let NAVI fall down on their own slower clears into a pressure time situation. They've pulled back pretty much entirely. I think there's a loose player that's still making their way down. There it is. Hot was just coming down from the far side, and they're entirely in sight. They're going to play against the time, prep themselves some impact tricks against that kitchen hatch by the looks of it, and well, this is it. This is where NAVI sometimes get a little bit slow. They get a little bit stuck, and SSG are going to hope that the time that they banked on the top floor is enough to mean that the push on the site is one that they can still stick behind.
That's it, and they still seem to be afraid of a potential player being out there, and that might be due to the visual playing below the bar in Motorcycle using the ERC7, which means that those lines are still appearing up top as well. And with that, they need to be careful. They need to clear everything out, try and make sure that indeed he is not out there. So smart usage of the gadget right there. It seems like now the call came through. He's not here though. He must be downstairs. And they start opening up faster. They are just kicking themselves into 4th gear right now, looking to execute on the site very soon. As NAVI is going for a big rotate around. They might go all the way over towards the dirt tunnel. I'm not quite sure. Or maybe even inside the kitchen. As it seems like they want to open this one up. Yeah, indeed they will.
Yeah, that's it. They're trying to get the limitations onto the kitchen hatch here. They're making sure that they can't get caught by impacts from underneath. There's 4 for the defenders to play with and only 2 exothermics, so the flashes come through to make them try and miss those hits and shots. And Hot, he is playing just on the far side there. Suffers a shoulder of damage underneath that moto hatch, but with it being closed, he is fine and free to just sit in this corner, and Hot can pop through. Gets one that was trying to slip their way through. Nate's going for the stick, but that's an easy pick up there for Hot and Cold. He drops the drone on the pick back up. Blur goes down in amongst the smoke, saves, can't quite find his way around onto the fight of anybody at this point. Pre-fires the angles, but the time wasted on the top floor again came through and punished NAVI later on.
And a double kill from Hotson as well, very important there as he was playing around with his ERC7 the entire time below the motorcycle hatch. And that made them wonder, all right, is there someone in the bar? Because, they were quite hesitant about it. But instead of checking it, instead of trying to make sure that he indeed wasn't in sight there, he was allowed to pick up a double kill and drop that diffuser, not allowing NAVI to push themselves onto map point here. They had a very early entry. They could have had 2 potentially as well, but were unable to translate it into the round. And now Space Station will be headed towards the bar next. They continue the rotation that was started by NAVI.
Bar and stage. Now we get a taste of a different region and a different style hold on this. We've seen out of any of the sites, this one has obviously had its own face the most because it's been developed across this year. It's been sort of coming into its own with the recent changes, and that means that that initial flavor is always going to be the most distinct. And we've had that taste. We've had that sort of growth shown throughout this tournament alone. Here, it's still going to be a stretch above. You're still going to have some of those similarities that are consistencies. The castle is going to give them a little bit more protection. It gives them a little bit more width. There's no mirror, which was an extension that was utilized by NAVI. It gave them that bit of a swing and an extra.
For sure, and that makes it a little bit more difficult to hold on to some areas, but maybe with the different operators, you excel at others. Big opening inside that wall, kitchen hallway, just to make sure that he can challenge the stage if any plant comes through, and the bulletproof cam will ensure the exact same as well. The information of someone to be on the flank, on the plant rather, or not. Just a quick punch, of course, can stop that. As, again, an opening made. I think this time it was by the impact nade that the Sophia carries rather than a Gun 6. Blur only has 1 left and starts to open up in the garage, and that shows that NAVI wants to push in from this southern side. Take it under control, take that top floor as well, and make sure you do it quick. There is an opening, however, I believe already in construction I just saw. I'm not quite sure how that came through, but as Blur continues his pressure onto CCTV cache, the saves that will join him now, and already the flush that starts coming in on the SSG side.
That's it. They're making sure that they have all these angles. They're putting their width and their pressure onto getting control of construction, because then you've got the stage to work with underneath on side, that stock side. You can hear that width and explosion is coming through. That single wall gets dropped as well, and suddenly there's no comfortable way to play in, but there's still reverse angles. You can, with the right gun, go aggressive back against it. Stage wall will fall. Nothing to intently stop this, but the stack up of every other position means that you've still got to try and have a fight to get your way in. There is obviously the reveal of that Prisma outside that's making things a little bit awkward, and that one definitely is a Prisma. There's the Gon 6 utilized because the grenade didn't quite get the catch before, and that consistent irritance of that external icon is going to be something that is just going to sit with them.
I don't think they really care too much about it. It might block some lines aside, but that's going to be about it. And as the first smoke canister just got pushed in by Fultz as well, there will be 2 left. Bunch of time still on that clock, and they will have to deal with their identity hidden at all given time. And secretly now that locks off the bar hallway. That stops a lot of the lines aside as well, and basically only leaves it up to Fultz to make sure that this plant will not push through. And if Nave then decides to go in deep soon, it will probably be Blur that follows up as well, or at least secretly someone to try and make sure the kills go their way. Rampy gets the very first. They do not know any of the positions of the defenders that are still left on that board, still left inside the bar, and as Bosco and Skies both pick up a kill with a jump out here, it's Fultz that takes a little bit of damage but doesn't quite get punished for it.
Now, Nath has found himself a little pocket of space, but it's a 4 versus 2, and they now have verticality. You can see them moving above. They're looking for the angle. They found it, and just in time, he found the plant there, and everything has fallen away from them. SSG, lock it out. 3-5. They are pulling themselves back in a round at a time.
That's it. It was 5-1 before. It's 5-3 now. It's starting to close up ever so slightly. And with that, just an extra round. Suddenly it's just a round difference. SSG need to complete their rotation though, and they'll head towards the gym. This is where it went wrong for NAVI. This is where Rampy just walked in and got a 4K instead. And I made sure that they were able to at least pick up a singular round during their attacking half. As we push over to that gym, we see 6 pick from Aruni to the castle. I mean, you know, the Aruni catches these projectiles that go through. Deal small amounts of damage, but it's quite easy to deal with. The castle, to some extent, fills a similar role. You block a line of sight, which is something the Syria Laser Gate doesn't do, but at least takes some utility away to burn it. The big difference is it doesn't recharge over time.
Alright, this is the offsite. This is the one that was obviously the only one that slipped away from Navi on their defense, and if SSG can get this, they're off to technically a better performance on their defense so far. I think if this goes away from Navi, we'll probably see attack timeout in the conversation from the EU team.
Yeah.
And see if they can try and pull some of this back together. It's still got to come together, but you look at the last 2 defenses from SSG, and they were solid. They knew exactly how they wanted to stretch out Navi. They've learned all the lessons they needed to, and that's that little thing that's sort of missing Navi, is they're not able to find those bites that offered them so much previously. Here, with the approach coming around on, once again, the garage side, once again, this bit of a split. There is that single player at the top there, in a bit of a position as they slow crawl their way inside cache.
Drones are coming through. They're trying to put up the pressure here on Fultz and Bosco inside that cache room. One of them gets spotted out. The second one might be hidden for a little bit of things here. Just trying to quickly, Lucas saves opens up that full CCTV wall. There's going to be the reinforcement as well coming in from the red side of things. So there's no way they can just push through there, but you could maybe find a grenade from above or open it up with an extra thermic charge and get someone in a position to hold up the rotation. Exactly what Blur is doing right now, but he gets swung on, and Fultz and Bosco both pick up a kill. It's a 5-on-3. Suddenly SSG have a 2-man advantage yet once more.
That was it. They both suddenly popped up, and they had an idea of where the players were. Secretly's grenade is going to go over the top and gets it down onto Bosco. Fultz, he's concerned that somebody's going to lean through, and as Secretly burns himself a hole in an angle to try and pick up the next kill from, they're just going to watch. The second grenade is ripped over the top. There it is, bounced, and there is Fultz. Damage, the wall is popped. Finally locked in by Nath, and Nath with a double for a bid and blow of revenge. They've obviously lost those 2 players on that extension, but they've been able to remove obviously 2 from their opponents as well, and that's that big trade-off at this minute.
Castle barricades are being knifed open right now to ensure themselves a bit of visual inside of the construction area. As They are preparing, making some noise to ensure that no one hears that they're on top of the roof. They just need that, that bit of stealth to make sure that they could drop those hatches in the end. As they push through. Wall open up in Jacuzzi. They just need to find one more entry. That's all NAVI need. They need to find a kill on either construction or the bathroom, but both seem kind of out of reach for now.
They have an awareness, or they have a caution towards logistics hatch, and a couple of bullets are fired across the bow, but Houghton isn't moving anywhere as of yet. Saves is just sort of waiting for a player to maybe go for a reverse peek. He hopes that he is entirely silent and separated here, but 30 seconds, and pretty soon somebody's going to have to try and make some noise. There's the drone reveal on that player, dropped, and there's a second one that wants to swing in from construction side, and Houghton still just holding off 2 players at bay. They've got to offer some support here to that far side player. There's one, there's the split, there's 2 for Houghton Cold, and he has entirely shut down that approach. They tried to bait and buoy that person, but he stays swimming, and that is 3 in a row.
5-1, it is what it is. A 4-5 is the current score, however. Houghton will be bringing back the mirror. We're headed towards Church and Arsenal for a last 3-round sprint. Either team can still take it here. There is no overtime yet in sight. Of course, NAVI, they need the least amount of rounds to lock it off. But by the way that these last 3 have gone, it's going to be a difficult fight for them. As I mentioned before as well, the only real saver for them is the fact that they have played these sites before. They have gotten to the site, let's just put it up like that, because they didn't really do much more than that, than get on the site. But that means that they have an idea of the hold, of the setup that Spacestation have ran in the past.
There was a lot of time that was lost on the top as well.
Yes.
Huge amount of time that was lost, and with NAVI, that, you know, it wasn't even just that the kill happened, but then they had to clear, and we saw it, the slow clear that happened over the next 30 seconds, 40 seconds on that mid-floor. And as soon as that came through, suddenly you see them burst into life. But that difference, that has really just been that stump of NAVI on that final slide in.
Now, I think it's important to mention as well that the Vigil is no longer there, and I really think that that Vigil was the reason for that slow clear, because those squiggly lines, as you keep calling them, they keep popping up every single time you use the Area C7. They had no clue that the bar was completely clear at that point, and as it's gone now, NAVI have a easier way of clearing everything out. They have an easier way to see if indeed everything is clear, because they can trust their sight. And you see that they're already speeding up quite a bit. There is already Doki inside of New Blue, just secretly looking to go inside of the lounge, and Saves as well, right above in the bar already. They can start opening up these verticalities. They can start opening up these hatches if they get rid of the Electro Claw, I believe, that just got placed on the motorcycle hatch.
Blair is giving them some more angles with those soft breach charges as Save starts to try and crack his way through. Obviously, it's more of a reserved hold this time from SSG. Both bodies and both players that were roaming before are headed instantly down onto the site. This allows secretly some time to start cracking open this hatch. Hot and cold with the C4. It sounds like a pre-placed one potentially, but they're opening that from a lot of range. They are not risking being directly under that and almost punish him for it. It takes a huge bout of health damage there, and with the grenades that are theoretically going to start rolling their way down, that means he's got to be a little bit more distant to them than he might have otherwise wanted to be.
LMG being used right here to create some extra angles, not the actual skeleton key, which could do the job just fine. Saves is currently on that drone. NAVI looking for an entrance. It seems like they might be wanting to open up the kitchen hatch, which is currently electrified, but that's fine. You don't need that to be not electrified. You can just place it right next to it. That Nave is currently doing. This might be a bit too much. He's taking quite a bit of damage doing this, but we'll get it right in the right spot. Needs to make sure now it doesn't get impact tricked, however, and it does open up the hatch. They were just too late.
There it is, and I'm sure you'll be, people who have not known that you can do that will be doing that from now on. It is a way to play that, but it's obviously more dangerous with impacts and ways to stop it. Rampy, he's back on the third box, looking for a long-distance firefight against Nath, who is very low. This grenade is just going to get caught out before it rolls close there onto the mirror window. They also have the body behind A case as well on the close corner. Wants to roll a second one down, but doesn't want to entirely lose that utility, so swings around to the rotation on the opposite side. Here's the burn. The flashes go through, the first 2 caught, and that's that got rid of. This grenade is now pressured utility, but there's a chance to swing round from underneath. They've rotated off at this point. There's the pull, there's the release. Where's the player? no longer back there, and they instantly swing back as soon as that grenade goes off. Houghton's able to find Nath. In the meantime, on the drop on the hatch, they lose secretly on the far side. One more for Houghton, one more almost. Has to reload that gun at some point, but luckily for him, there's players to offer a cover. Doki drives himself in, but no time. 5 each.
The time again is being starved, and you say it, it's 5 each. That means we're headed towards a bit of a sprint now, an even more sprint. Whoever wins this first round is putting up the pressure upon the other. And by the way, it's been going. I'm favoring SSG a little bit here. Because again, timing seems to be an issue on the side of NAVI. They just dropped the hatch, even though they had no control over anything else. They needed blue for that matter. They needed to be able to pick up Houghton, who was behind those AKs. Just taking you down one by one as you drop that hatch and fall right into his line of sight. But as they didn't, they find themselves on a 5-5 now. And a bar stage is about to be brought here by SSG to try and reach that 6 mark first. But the way it's been going, they might be successful with it as well.
I think that's it right now, is this has been a flawless defense. The exact opposite story to how Chalet opened this, with an entirely flawed defense from their side. And, you know, it wasn't that it was entirely one-sided. Obviously, Navi had that statistically, but it was close. A handful of these plants, 1 or 2 different connections or 1 or 2 bursts of wasted time, and well, that's where we'll be at. That's where we'll sort of be sitting at here. And this time SSG, they've obviously learned those lessons. Club is so familiar to them. Navi are just struggling the same way they did in the latter half of Bank. Here, they're going to see if they can potentially go for the stage take. I mean, they got a bit of control above, they got a bit of control on the side itself, but from that point onwards, they just could not find a kill. SSG gave them nothing, and then as soon as they had to try and push the side, they pulled themselves a bit further back, and then they retook as soon as they could.
Yeah, for sure. And as the breaches are about to be put up, again, pressure is coming down. But the big issue here with Navi is that they just starve themselves out of time at some point. They just don't find the entry. It's SSG that is holding themselves back perfectly and are finding ways to starve Navi out time and time again. It's secretly now that takes a ton of damage, I think, from a run out, either from the locker here, the freezer in the kitchen, or no, actually, no, I'm not quite sure where that came through. Possibly the window in that case. Either way, a lot of damage done, and that's one of your heart breachers quite low on HP now, and the rest of Navi's trying to push up from that top floor. They're trying to take control quickly and steadily, but as they find these reinforced walls, they also realize that they're not quite able to push right through it. It is these electric claws that stop them from proceeding too quickly. They need to use grenades to open it up, or EMPs for that matter, and as they do that now, they created that opening before to make sure. That Sky's from the back. Sky's going for a big flank here. Snicks himself right up the rafters right here, and as he gets himself near CCTV, could be absolutely detrimental to Navi.
There it is. The first comes his way. The second is a bit of a fire over the top of Red. A hop down and a catch potentially onto Lounge. He's surrounded and he's got caught, but not before. He did a huge bit of damage and was able to entirely remove Doki from the equation. They're going to see if they can try and push themselves through here as that gets popped open with, obviously, Thatcher on the board. Those walls aren't going to last too much longer. The reveal on that camera, once again, Blur with some width here onto Billiards. They've got themselves some lounge control. They've got their options open. There's a fight that might happen that they're concerned about, but it's hot and cold from the long range. With a gun that works very well, buried all the way back inside Strip. Volts crept his way closer with those smoke canisters. It's just going to force the players off the lounge in 50 seconds. They're trying to reconvene, but above is under control of Rampy. And Bosco's gone for a drop down, a rotate, and a catch. The diffuser is cold. 40 seconds, and this is what I'm talking about. They'll lose a bit of control, they'll lose a bit of sight, but they'll just go back and steal it. They're more than happy. And with a pistol almost looking out, saves there, but it's a 2 versus 1. They know where the kit is. They know where the diffuser is. Saves is just a pocket for the time at this point. The default still being up after all of that. Hands Bosco a catch. Hands SSG. Map and series point.
There you have it there, 2 big flanks coming in from the side of SSG, providing them with success. And as round 12 is soon to get underway, of course, first the operator picks, the 6th pick that comes in as well. But after that, the prep phase, those last 3 minutes start now. And at that moment in time, there is nothing Navi can do except for play a flawless round. And I said it before, the extra round that they've won onto the gym gives them the extra mistake they can make, the extra slip up in the round to ensure themselves of a map win. And it seems like they might need it, because it has come all the way down towards 6-5 map and series points. SSG, who's shown incredible resilience, being 1-5 down and able to bring it back here. Now, 6-5 in front. They have that slip up, but that does mean OT. That is something they do not want to head for. The pressure is on Navi. Who is being locked down to the lower bracket? That is the big question.
Time will tell. Time will tell, and it's down to NAVI to just find that one connection. And here, on Gym, is the only last place they can make it right now. After being so close to locking it out on Bank, it has since that moment, since they needed one more round on Bank on that attack, they have lost every single attack round since.
That's it. That is not a pleasant sight to look at here. Navi was looking like they might have been locking it off in a quick 2-0 fashion. They now find themselves around behind. Incredible, important round. Number 12. Is that hot breach? Okay, I was kind of...
it was like half a hot breach. It was like
half a hot breach. He jumped, but he didn't breach it. Probably for the better of it. Rampy was quite close back then and could have picked him up easily. Imagine if he just accidentally did that. That would have been insane. Either way, he didn't. And that means Navi's still in it. There is the exothermic that pops off. It's the first amount of damage done to the side itself. It seems like a Jacuzzi take is the ID that Navi has. That's what they want to push for here. And with a lot of the members of SSG currently off sides, currently around the CCTV and cache area, if one of these grenades finds a target, if one of these grenades opens it all up, there's going to be the opportunity to just rush it through, just double that pace and make sure you get that planted down before any of these SSG members are in a position to actually counter it from happening.
There it is. Rampy's
just doesn't fit through.
A little bit.
There you go.
There you go. He's able to sliver his way through there, and Blur's popping some pressure here underneath. But again, unchecked rotations could be the problem factor that come through. There are drones and pings. They've got the reveal on that castle. He's going to pull himself away.
We already have someone, I believe, inside of the bathroom secretly has taken that control. So there is quite a bit of freedom right now to play with on the side of Navi. If they manage to find themselves right behind a reinforcement with that kit, which is exactly what Nave was running for a second ago, it now doesn't feel so safe anymore. Secretly is pinging it out. He's telling you can plant there. It is relatively safe. Just make the run for it. And we might find ourselves with success on our hands and a overtime to be inbound. It is Doki that goes for a big flank all the way around. That's nowhere near happening yet, though. Secretly, the one inside bathroom is the one that takes the first front line here, but it gets picked up, and suddenly Nave drops as well. That's the diffuser, lost and gone, and needs to be recovered as Doki takes a lot of damage as well, and SSG is looking to end it all here.
They have entirely capitalized on the defense that they know they can play so well. Saves. He's trying to hold into something to allow Blur some space, but still caught by a bulletproof and by a Banshee. There's just a swing on a shotgun and a pocket of seconds. And as it ticks closer and closer, Saves is at least able to find one to try and fight their way out. Handful of just territory. But the worry is, as they try and stick this diffuser, that this is going to happen. The swings and the impacts, they don't have a cleanliness, but Saves has a swing. Can't get the last. It's a cold diffuser. It's just Blur looking for one. They're long gone. SSG from the brink of dropping it in the second. Pull it all the way till the end of the third.
They definitely do, and Saves was almost able to save the round as he got the kill on the player in construction. Decided then he needed to go for more. He went off that rotate, off that plant, through the rotate.